Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and I hope that this video finds you well. We are diving right into it. We've got some breaking news. So Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones did a podcast together. They talked about Donald Trump and how fearlessly he is going against the swamp and the globalists. And they are both predicting something very terrifying to happen in the near future. On top of that, we are going to cover the Chinese spy balloon. You all remember under Joe Biden, there were Chinese spy balloons flying across the country. What if I told you that Joe Biden allowed them to happen, that they knew in advance that Chinese spy balloons are about to be flying over the United States, and they did nothing, and China told them, if you touch our balloons, we will destroy you, and Biden sat down in a seat and said, I surrender. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as soon as you're in, please do me a huge favor, smash that thumbs up, subscribe, leave me a comment. Where are you tuning in from? And before we continue, today's sponsor is Mike Lindell with his company's My Store and My Pillow. You, ladies and gentlemen, go to My Store or MyPillow.com. Use promo code ANN at checkout. Get a huge discount. You'll get a free gift. Plus, as you all know, Mike Lindell is running for governor of Minnesota. He really needs our help. So by doing this, you support the channel and the show, and you support Mike's run against Tampon Tim. Links are down below in the description. Let's get on. Now, first thing I want to tell you is this. First, we're going to cover the balloon. Treason. Top Biden officials held secret talks with the Chinese about their spy balloon traversing the United States before the public spotted it in the sky. They were worried about optics. In January 2022, the Biden administration knew about the Chinese spy balloon traversing across the continental United States from Alaska to the Carolinas, but sought to conceal this from the American public. A newspaper photographer first spotted the balloon over Montana. The Chinese spy balloon first entered United States airspace over Alaska in late January. Joe Biden and Mark Milley knew the surveillance balloon was over the United States, yet Biden chose to stand down. The balloon soared over nuclear silos and military installations across the United States with Joe Biden's full approval. In fact, the Chinese spy balloon was using U.S. parts and United States internet as it crossed the United States to spy on military installations and nuclear silos. The balloon was shot down over the Atlantic just up the coast of the Carolinas. According to the Pentagon, the spy balloon carried explosives to self-detonate, was 200 feet tall, and weighed thousands of pounds. The administration knew about the spy balloon, but sought to conceal it from the American public. The Biden regime did not even notify the Gang of 8 congressional leaders about the security breach by communist China. Ladies and gentlemen, this is treason. This is what treason looks like. Not only did they know that this is a Chinese spy balloon, they knew in advance that it was coming. They knew it was using American parts. They knew it was connected to American servers and American internet. And they still stood there and lied to the American people. Oh, they're weather balloons. We don't know what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why Joe Biden's administration will go down as the most pathetic, the weakest, and most embarrassing administration in American history. And Trump is going to go down as the greatest president this country has ever seen. Now, I know Trump talked about this yesterday. They are launching an investigation into Milley and whether he worked with the communist Chinese to do this. Now, let's move on to this. Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones on race tensions, Patriot Front, and Israel-Iran war. Quote, I am not even against Netanyahu, but he has been trying to drag us to war since 9/11. Now, let's listen. As you guys know, there are tensions between Iran and Israel and the United States. Trump has sent thousands of American troops into that area just in case things get bad. It's getting bad.
I want to make a prediction because I just want to be on tape saying this. I want to make a prediction because I just want to be on tape saying this. I'm going to say it again even more clearly this time. And of course, I hope I'm wrong. I pray I'm wrong. But I do think a lot of the really crazy, bitter ethnic hate that you see on social media is fake. It's people were saying it, don't mean it. I think it's like, the Klansmen you'd see marching and you're like, there are no Klansmen. And you're like, what? And of course you find out that it's fake. And it's designed to convince people that there's like a lot of roiling ethnic hatred that doesn't really exist. And that's a predicate.
Yeah, Patriot Front.
Exactly. It's Charlottesville. But that's happening online right now. And I know that it is. And I think that at some point, I pray I'm wrong, but there's going to be an act of violence, ethnic inspired violence, of hate inspired violence, actual hate, like killing people. And I really hope I'm wrong, but I feel like this is real. And that event will be used to shut down free speech on social media. Because that is the threat. And you saw it with TikTok, like, oh, we need to ban TikTok because China owns it. No, nothing to do with China. It had everything to do with opinions that the people in charge didn't like being expressed there. And it's like, we're just going to, and the Congress went along with it. But if there's an act of violence and innocents are murdered, and I pray that doesn't happen because I hate that above all, but it has happened and I feel like it could happen again. And people say, and a lot of good people will go along with it, just like they went along with the censorship of you and the destruction of your life because they were told like, he's bad. He had something to do with murdering children. And then people just shut down. They're like, I don't know. Alex Jones is sending you with murdering children. So whatever they do to Alex Jones, like, is fine.
And I can't tell you how many times in front of my family, people walk up and they go, you killed those kids.
Exactly.
And I'll always go, really? I did, huh? And why am I walking around? And then just like, well, you know what you did. But what you said is so important. The last ingredients is the false flag on a big illegal alien demonstration or a black church. Because the Democrats keep saying, Trump's coming to kill the migrants. We got to rise up.
Yeah, or something else like that. But we're innocent.
What they start talking about here makes so much sense because the media is race baiting everybody and, pushing Hispanics and blacks against Trump. And what they say next makes so much sense that they're just going to either influence somebody to carry out a racial attack or hire somebody.
Are murdered by a crazy person, or maybe an actual crazy person used, or whatever, or maybe it just happens organically. Maybe if you stoke enough ethnic division online, it's clearly bad. I mean, there are people who have, views that are, are mad at other ethnicities. I mean, that's real. Okay. But there are also big actors who are not real. They're doing it on purpose.
And we know who they are.
Yes, we do know who they are.
And for strategic reasons.
I don't want to get involved in all that filth, but
let's just say we've seen the documents separately.
100%. And they're stoking this stuff. And maybe it just organically inspires someone to commit murder, a mass murder. And again, I just pray, as someone who hates all violence, to say it again, I pray that's not the case.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, do me a huge favor. Smash that thumbs up, please, right now. Thank you.
Well, let's just say this. The people they're mainly attacking are the ones financing them. It's the oldest trick in the book, Hegelian dialectic. And so just be aware of that, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and I just don't, And I think and the only reason I bring that up is because I worry about it every day.
I do too, because that's the next big move. Well, Iran's plan B for the globalist. And Iran's got its issues and its Shiite militias and all that. I'm not lionizing the mullahs.
Oh, you're not?
But they've been isolated. Israel has knocked out their proxy forces in Lebanon and in Gaza and in the West Bank. And Netanyahu is extremely unpopular. He's been indicted. And he said he doesn't want an investigation of January. He doesn't want an investigation of October 7th until the war is over. But then he never, is going to have the war be over. So I'm not even against Netanyahu. I'm not against Israel. I know most people in Israel don't war with Iran either. But he's been trying to drag us into war since 9/11. That's how long he's been around and in power off and on into this. And they have the most ballistic missiles in the world. What it is 4-1, 5-1, 6-1 to even the Israeli anti-missile defense system. Israel, as you know, only has 3 big cities. They will get blown off the map by this conventionally, even if Iran doesn't have nukes and uses them, and the word is they do. Israel will nuke Iran. And then all hell's going to break loose. And in most scenarios, India and Pakistan start nuking each other. Saudi Arabia's got nukes. There's a lot of other countries that have nukes that people don't know about. You don't want even a limited nuclear war, because in most big threat assessment war games, and Tucker's an expert on this, he can attest to it, he talks to the experts, it breaks out. Kind of like your neighbor, has the Black Plague. Well, you might get it. Or your neighbor, has got syphilis, and God forbid you have sex with them. I mean, this is a lot worse than syphilis. This is a lot worse than TB. This is really dangerous. And Iran does have proxy forces in Europe and the United States that Biden let get in. And they really do have some of these sleeper cells that are here, that if this does go to full war, they can cause some major problems. And different foreign intelligence agencies are famous for spoofing Iranians and Saudi Arabian terror attacks. They could easily stage a big false flag to get us into a war with Iran.
I'm aware, yeah.
And
so what they're pretty much saying, ladies and gentlemen, is that the deep state right now, they are completely lost for words, lost for action. They don't know what to do about Trump. This is not the Trump that they got the first time in 2017. This is a much more mature Trump. This is a Trump that understands the politics game. This is a Trump that understands not everybody that smiles to your face in DC is your friend. Actually, the more they smile, the bigger enemies they are. He understands now. Compare his first team and second team, night and day, ladies and gentlemen. And so the globalists, who I believe are in bed with Iran, and to a degree with certain elements of the Israeli government, are willing to do everything they can to stop Trump, even if it means nuclear war. Why? Because when you are facing prison time, you are willing to go to the end, even if it's death, to make sure you are not exposed for the crimes against humanity and innocent children that you've been committing for decades. Just imagine how many well-known people all over the world would be exposed for the things they've done. Bankers, Hollywood. Now, we all know they do this, but imagine if it plays on the screen. What if their exposure is televised? The shame. I can't use the word guilt because they have no guilt, but they would be ashamed. And they're willing to go all the way to conceal their sins. But ladies and gentlemen, before we do wrap this up, there are great news. This is what leadership looks like. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth welcomes back service members discharged for refusing the jab with back pay. Under Joe Biden, approximately 8,000 service members were discharged from the military for refusing to take the COVID-19 vaccine. In January 25, President Trump ordered a full reinstatement to any service member who was expelled from the armed forces due to the COVID vaccine mandate, restoring them to their former rank with full back pay.
We're psyched. This is one of the promises made, promises kept from President Trump. We have followed through at the Defense Department. If you are a person of conscience, a person of faith, who believe that you shouldn't have to take an experimental vaccine in order to serve in our military, we will apologize to you. We will recognize the wrong that's been done. We will welcome you back with rank and back pay, and we want your service. So we started it as quickly as possible. As you can imagine, sometimes these things take a little bit of time to work out. All the letters are out to the folks who were pushed out, and we welcome them back as quickly and robustly as possible. These are some of our best and brightest. We were kicking out folks with 17 years in, 18 years in, 19 years in, saying, sorry, you won't take the jab.
Thanks, Joe Biden. You're great.
You can't serve. That was an outrage.
Imagine putting your life on the line for this country, signing up to and knowing that there may be war and you might have to go die halfway across the world, and you're ready to do that for your country. You're ready to die, but then they say, take this jab. And you say, I don't wanna. Isn't my life on the line for you guys enough? No, that's it. You're out. I don't think Pete Hegseth or Donald Trump should be the ones apologizing to the military. I think Joe Biden needs to be court-martialed to be forced to sit there in a chair, him, Fauci, and whoever else was involved in firing these great men and women in uniform. Whoever was, besides Joe and Fauci responsible, they need to be court-martialed. They need to be forced to sit in a chair with handcuffs on and to apologize to each and every single one of those brave soldiers and by name. I think that's what needs to happen.
President Trump got elected, immediately mandated us. So we're welcoming, in fact, here at the Office of Secretary of Defense, I hope to get to meet soon a number of these troops that have decided to come back in after we lifted that. It's changed the whole environment. Like you can hold your religious beliefs and that view and serve as well. And that pertains to these COVID vaccines, and we welcome them. We're glad they're back.
This is amazing, ladies and gentlemen. This is wonderful. This is what we voted for. This is what we voted for, and this is what we want. Finally, a leadership that cares about the American people, American soldier, American borders. Joe Biden, from the balloons to the firing of these people, you're just a disgrace. With that, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for this live stream. Please do me a massive favor. Smash that thumbs up. Subscribe. God bless you. Stay tuned. I'll see you soon.